Good first scrimmage. I thought the compete was high. Offense really moved the ball early on, had some early success. Our defense had 2 big stops in 2 minutes. It was impressive on their side. Plenty of room for improvement on both sides of the ball, but there was good compete. It's that first time you get to see guys actually go tackle, and I think there's some nervousness around that to start, but the guys pulled the trigger and were able to finish. Relatively clean from a penalty standpoint, and I think we can still continue to get better there. All of our quarterbacks, you actually pull their stats afterwards, and you're like, wow, they kind of have very similar days. I think all of them had success, all had scored touchdowns, 2 through picks. We talk about taking care of the ball, but in general, very similar performances across the board by those guys. Overall, like I said, good compete, good first scrimmage, certainly not our standard, but we'll go ahead and open it up for questions.
How much intermingling and stuff like you did in the spring game did you do versus sticking with kind of personnel groupings by way of, particularly for the offense, since that was a big change for the quarterback?
Yeah, we shuffled guys around. The guys that are competing for positions still competed, so we rolled multiple groups.
No injuries?
Not that I'm going to talk about.
You said a couple of picks, but overall, were the fumbles? I mean, you obviously prioritized protecting the football. Was that a positive for the most part?
No, because we had turnovers, right? If you have 1 turnover, that's 1 too many. Now, on the same note, our goal on defense is to be +3 every game. So there were takeaways. Some of those situations are going to be situations where you're going to say you got to throw the ball. So let's say it's 4th down in 2 minutes, you need a touchdown or to get into field goal range. We're going to throw the ball, right? So there's a chance there might be a pick where on a 3rd down or a 2nd down, you might say an incomplete's okay. So we had a situation like that where we threw picks on must-throw 4th downs. But ultimately, still, we want to do a better job of taking care of the ball. I think we were closer today. Like I said, for those to come in those situations, I think tells you a little bit about, hey, our quarterback's decision-making, but we can certainly still get cleaner.
How about explosives?
Yeah, there were some. There were definitely some explosive plays today. Thought our offense did a good job with our tempo and creating some issues, so we got to get better at that on the defensive side of the ball, but it was good to see that today.
How did some of the younger guys do it, and which some of the younger guys, I guess, impressed you?
I'm going to have to go back and look at the film, right, to really see it, because there's a lot more administration going on today. I don't know if I saw a real young guy stick out, that really caught my eye. But overall, like I said, our compete was pretty good.
Who was making up the...
some people being able to tackle. Coach Polish, you mentioned, made a comparison to a red light, green light, yellow light. How do you get those guys? You said some of them are at yellow light where they're not sure about going yet. How do you get those guys to basically a green light before week 1?
Yeah, you train it, right? You need days like today where you get an opportunity to go live and go full tilt boogie and see it happen. That being said, I think I said it before, if you bite as a puppy, you're going to bite as a dog. There's a piece of that to it too, right? Guys that are good tacklers are going to be good tacklers, but you have to train it. We do a good job of working non-contact tackling, if that makes sense. Training where your eyes are at, how you're going to work a finish. But days like today are days that you see it, right? It's like get them down. It doesn't matter how you get them down. There's some of those moments today.
Did you guys play green to the extent you would have liked?
Oh, no, I definitely want more green. Now we weren't way behind the curve. Guys were going today, but I'm always looking for a little bit more.
Who was making up the left side of the offensive line today, Dan?
We had a couple guys shuffling over there.
With the 2-minute drills, were there any defensive guys who kind of caught your eye?
Not necessarily. Like I said, we had a big pick. I think it was Bennett there on the first series, had a big pick at the end. And it was interesting in our pre-practice team meeting, we showed a clip of Rice and UAB several years ago, back when Coach Maringer was at Rice. Rice is going in to score. They throw an interception to UAB. UAB, instead of dropping right there, right, has an opportunity to win the game if they go down. They start to return it back and they fumble it back to Rice. Rice goes down and scores the win. So we saw that exact scenario today, interception, and our defense went down. So it's fun to see moments like that start to be reciprocated in practice.
Were Saleh, Kavika, or Feope able to...
I'm not talking about injuries.
Do you guys break this scrimmage down like you would a game? Do you guys go on film and position group by position group break down things? What's the evaluation process after this?
We'll watch it in sequence. We'll grade every single play, right? So positive, negative, every single play. Just like that, we talk to the players about going to the doctor and see what medicine we got to take and what we have to fix. We'll do the same thing. When it comes to us as coaches, we'll do a write-up. What tools do we have in our tool belt that we feel like we need to carry into the season, right? And then what do we need to add? And that's, and we'll have a write-up. We'll have a pretty extensive write-up on offense, defense, and special teams on what we need to improve and make sure we get.
Looking at those positives and negatives, if you had to pick a winner between the offense and the defense, who do you think won the day?
I would have definitely said offense early. You know, they were definitely moving the ball and having some success early. I think defense late, you know, so it's good to see the yin and yang, but plenty to clean up on both sides.
Great lessons from today that you hope show up when you guys come back to practice next week?
Certainly a lot, you know, in particular, not necessarily. I mean, I think it was just there's a lot of things to fix, small, minute pieces, and each one of us has to have ownership and take it.
You brought in a lot of new specialists. This was their first time in a game-like situation. What did you see from the new kickers and punters?
You know, it's good to get those live kicks. I said this to Coach Lorg this morning. It's time for us to have a pressure punt with somebody actually rushing against us, and we created a couple of those scenarios. I thought overall our punters did a good job of punting. We didn't get as many field goals in this scrimmage as I wanted to. We probably could have done a better job of working those in earlier in practice, but when we did, they hit some big kicks there at the end. A couple kickoffs. We actually kind of worked every scenario special team in this moment, so a lot of guys got a lot of opportunities. I got to go back and watch it to see who performed the best, but overall there were some good kicks.
How'd the twos look in the secondary then? Because regardless of who they are individually, it's just a lot of guys who haven't had a lot of experience, whether it's the freshmen or guys like Barkins and Dickerson who were here. They just didn't play a lot. So just what were the twos and threes looking like in the secondary?
You know, again, I think the offense had the upper hand at moments. There were some explosive plays, but certainly not just against the two group or the one group. It was really collectively across the board. We got to get better there. We have guys that are hungry. What I was excited to see is I didn't see as many mental busts and errors. You know, a majority of our errors came because of the chaos that we created for ourselves, not necessarily because of the players making a mistake. So, but yeah, overall, I was pleased with where they're at. They're not there yet.
Going back to special teams, were you guys as error-free in kind of all aspects as you would like at this point?
Say it one more time.
Were you guys as error-free in all aspects as you would like?
Oh, no. Yeah, certainly not. You know, I think our snap operation, kick operation, all that stuff's really clean, but schematically, being right, we got some more improvement to do.
Did you guys practice live returns?
We went tag off on the returner. Went live within the kick, the scrimmage kick, but then tag off on the returner, and then we similar to what we did in the spring game before.
Crocker said that on Thursday, he felt like he was a little bit sluggish and felt like some of the other guys were a little sluggish. Like some guys brought it, some guys didn't. How did you feel like the energy as a whole was today?
Yeah, I thought it was much better. You know, I think what happened there on Thursday is it's common on a day when you come from a day off, that next day people feeling like they got to get their feet wet. And that's something we have to become elite at as a football team, is the day off of after an off day, being elite and attacking that day.
Say to all the quarterbacks like scoring drives, regardless of who it is, I'm not going to ask who, but do you feel that there is a leader of the group just yet?
I don't know. There is. I mean, we certainly keep. I think everybody's had shining moments, and I don't feel like there's one that's just separated themselves out from the other. You know, I think there's certainly room for improvement at each one of those for each one of those guys, and they've all had really good moments, and they've all had really poor moments. Now, again, I'll say this: I feel really confident we have quarterbacks we can win with, which is a big positive.
And
Do you view no one separating themselves yet as a good thing, or is that something where you would like to see someone start?
I mean, I like to know that you have multiple quarterbacks you feel really good about, and that's where I'm at right now. Is I feel really good about that.
How was the running back distribution today? Just
good. Well, you know, our goal coming in was really to be kind of even across the board. I have to look at what our numbers were like, but we wanted to see what each one of those guys had. And we know what some of them have, but we were wanting to see, you know, each guy get touches and each guy get in the game.
And looking at the updated heights and weights, Dan, one that stuck out to a lot of people was that Justin Flo obviously cut some weight, and for those of a certain era, a 220-pound inside linebacker is unusual. I don't like to comp players, but Nakobe was awfully close in terms of build.
Yeah, I think he's 217 whenever he played there. So, you know, there's certainly there's target height weights for certain guys. That being said, like I feel really confident that Justin Flo is putting himself in position to be able to play football at a high level.
A lot of players.
Last question.
A lot of players emphasize communication between the coaching staff and them. What is it about like a young coaching staff that's able to like communicate well with 20-some-year-old kids?
You know, I wouldn't say it's necessarily young or not young. I think it's just a decision the coaches have to make. You know, I've been around a lot of coaches that just don't feel like that's as important, and it's, you know, they're going to do whatever's necessary. But now I think we live in the day and age of why, right? Why coach? And I certainly believe that players are going to play harder for you when they know you care, right? And I hired coaches that care, right? That was my big focus here, is making sure I got guys that care about players and care about relationships. And when you have that, you're going to communicate, right? If you don't have that, you won't. And regardless of age, I think that's important to be part of our program. Thank you guys.